Sometimes realize there's no way.
You have tuned into Breaking the Mask of Depression with your host, Diva with Depression.
Just waiting back.
Hey guys, welcome to Breaking the Mask of Depression with me, your host, the Diva with Depression. I hope everyone is doing well today. The world is a shit show. I know that I say that every week, but it just seems like it just keeps spiraling into a deeper shit show every single day. So I hope that you guys are protecting your mental health and your physical health while all of this is going on, because we can get caught up in especially us empaths, intake everything. So please, please, please protect your peace. Today I have an amazing guest on, and I met her years ago, and have followed her ever since. And you guys are going to love listening to her because she's just an amazing, amazing person, woman who is part of the mental health advocacy, minority mental health advocacy community. And let's not waste any time. Let's go. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad that you decided to come. I'm so glad we finally got together. I was thinking, were we on a Takeda panel together, or I don't remember which one, but it was years ago, just a couple of years ago. And I know that I did follow you, since then. So introduce yourself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm Imade or Made. I use she, her, she, they pronouns. I am from North Carolina. Grew up there. Family originally from New Jersey. And my start with mental health advocacy, I was basically speeding on a Los Angeles highway, wanting to die. Um, that led me to the student counseling office at USC, where I was as a grad student, and two counselors, one white, one black, told me that I needed to get into the back of a police car and go to a psych ward. And they told me that I have to leave my entire graduate program. Um,
Wow.
and in the midst of that experience, I knew that I would lose everything if I left my graduate program. I would lose my health insurance. I would lose my opportunity to advance my career. Um, and so I had to advocate for myself in that moment and told them I'm not going in the back of a police car to a psychiatric facility. I will complete my program. And I got a therapist who diagnosed me with major depressive disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And that was back in winter of I think 2012. And that was the beginning of the journey for me as a mental health advocate. And I'm the founder of Depressed While Black. It's a 501c3 nonprofit that provides Black affirming personal care items to psychiatric patients, some like myself. So, yeah.
Wow. So you said a number of things that, well, number one, that the suicide discussion we don't have in our community. Number two, advocating for yourself. I've done several blogs and talks about medical racism, and especially in the psychiatric community. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Um, so when you stood up for yourself, how did that feel?
It's hard
I
to,
want to
yeah.
encourage someone. Yeah,
It's really hard to advocate for yourself when your mind and your body is crumbling. And I think that far too often the mental health system, um, it forces people with the least amount of resources to advocate the most. And so when I was talking with those counselors and basically refusing to leave my program and refusing to go into a back of a cop car just because I'm sad, um, I could barely keep my body up. I
right.
was leaning over the chair. My hair had locks like I had, back then.
Mhm.
crumpled, lying over my face.
Yeah.
I remember holding a tissue in my hand. I could barely sit up in that chair, and I had to kind of fight these two
The people.
counselors
Yeah.
and kind of get them off of me because they wanted to get me out of that program and they wanted to disappear me. And that's what far too many mental health professionals do. They try to disappear Black people just because we're sad, just because
Right.
we have a mental health crisis. And so in the moment, it wasn't a feel good self advocacy story, to be
Right.
honest.
Right.
Um, my back was against the wall and I was fighting for survival.
Right.
Um, but I think looking back, that was the start of my advocacy journey. And looking back, I see like how powerful I was, that these two folks in USC have a lot of power. And I was telling them, you're not going to do
No.
what you
Right.
think you're going to do to me.
Right.
And all of I guess, my courage, and came from that moment of me choosing myself over the entire punitive mental health system.
Right.
And so I feel, looking back on it, I feel so proud of myself. And I know that I paved the way for other people to say no.
Definitely.
Because I came back to that school, to USC, to do a mental health talk. And I
Wow.
heard from students who said, uh, people were also forcing me to leave campus, or I had a friend, or there was a story of someone who died by suicide, and they dealt with some of these situations at USC. So I know that me, like, saying, no, I'm going to make sure that my voice is being heard in this moment. I know that it paved the way for students to also say the same thing.
You go, girl. You go. Have you lived with mental illness all your life?
I think my mom would say that, but I wouldn't
Okay.
say that. Mamas be knowing,
Yes, we do.
mamas be knowing. Mamas know more than me
Yeah.
sometimes, and I honor their wisdom. So I think my mom would probably describe me as a child that can be really sad and really hard on herself. So if I lost a basketball game, I could be really sad or in my room and not want to leave. Um, I just was probably my biggest critic as a child. And so I dealt with that kind of like feeling that I'm not enough. I have to do more.
Right.
Um, and my first like introduction to mental illness, I was in eighth grade and I started to have a tummy ache. My head started to hurt. And sometimes I would just start crying.
Wow.
And the teachers would like pull me out of class. And I remember my basketball coach was like, are you going to be ready by basketball season? Like, are you good? uh yeah, we didn't really know anything about mental health back then.
Wow.
But I was referred to a primary care physician and told that I need to take this medication, um, to help me kind of just like relax. And the medication was like so strong that I would like black out in
Oh
class.
my goodness.
And so I was like, yeah, I can't take this medication. And so I just had to get off of it. And of course, my mom really like, did a lot of prayer.
Yeah.
So a lot of anointing oil was involved in the treatment of this mental health condition. And fortunately, I stopped having these kind of tummy aches, headaches, crying spells in class. But I didn't realize until decades later that that was panic attacks,
Okay.
and that I was dealing with anxiety issues related to being the only Black person in class and feeling targeted by white teachers because I'm one of the few Black students in the class. And just a lot of pressure on me being a high achieving student. And I put that in, quotation marks, because people who are quote unquote high functioning can be deeply low functioning in other areas.
Right.
So just want to, honor the whole person,
Right.
and saying that, yeah, I was very high achieving student to the point where there wasn't really a lot of peers.
Hmm.
I felt lonely, and I think I needed to talk to somebody to talk about my experiences. And actually, what helped me to no longer have those panic attacks was talking to my principal. He would talk to me before class started, and he was basically my first therapist. And I could talk about my problems with him. He was just so easy to talk to, and I felt like what I shared was like confidential. I didn't feel like he
Hmm.
was going to use the information against me. And so that was really my first introduction to therapy, was talking to my principal for school, and that helped me to, just feel like I have a sense of belonging. So that was my first introduction, but things didn't get like real until maybe like my mid 20s.
Okay. Okay. And so, what, if you don't mind sharing, is your formal diagnosis?
Yeah, I had a major depressive disorder diagnosis in
Mhm.
2012. And then I progressed into deeper into my mental health condition. And I started to recognize I don't just have depression, because I bounce back a little too fast.
Right.
Like sometimes when people have major depressive disorder, they have depression for at least 2 weeks at a time. It's
Hmm.
pretty constant, and unrelenting. But for me, I can have a really terrible depression episode, and then
Okay.
like 2 days later, I'm fine. And so I was like, something is going on, because my mood is more volatile than major depressive disorder. And just started, doing some research, and my friend also did some research as well. And we were like, yeah, I think in some ways it was we, because my friend was like really we were close, we were trying to figure this thing out. But also we had a codependent relationship. So it's just, that's also what happened.
Yeah. A
But
lot of us
yeah,
have those.
yeah, where you're like, this person is not my therapist, but I'm
Right.
kind of relying too much on them.
Exactly.
But through our collective research, we were like, yeah, I think that I have a borderline personality disorder. And it took a long time to get that diagnosis. Similar to the conversations about autism and how difficult it is to have an autism diagnosis. It can be very difficult as well. Not as expensive, but it could be very difficult to get a borderline personality disorder diagnosis. So I had a therapist who basically told me that I'm just going to treat the symptoms, like I'm not going to treat the condition, and just refuse to consider that I have BPD. So I had to pay out of pocket for a therapist who their fee was like $160 a session.
Wow.
And she had the training to give a BPD diagnosis, so she finally provided it. But it cost a lot of money, and the only reason why I was able to afford it was because someone was giving me their money that they probably shouldn't have given me, but they were giving it to me, so I need it. And so that's how I got the borderline personality disorder diagnosis, and that was around like 2019. And that kind of started that journey of like getting the right treatment for my condition.
So, what is, because I know a lot of people, when you see BPD, of course, you think bipolar disorder. What is borderline personality disorder? Because that's not something that you hear in our communities either.
Right. Like the most you may hear from black folk is depression,
Right.
and maybe anxiety.
Maybe anxiety.
Maybe, but you don't hear like borderline personality disorder.
Right.
And that's because black folks who do have BPD get funneled into jails and
Right.
prisons,
Right.
and they get funneled into psychiatric facilities. So they don't even get the opportunity to get a diagnosis, because they're dealing with mass incarceration, which is a huge deal for us. It's big for
Right.
us. So, I just definitely want to honor the fact that Black people do have borderline personality disorder, but they're getting locked up.
Right.
And
And
so, and it's really messed up that they're not getting the care that they deserve.
yeah.
But, for me, borderline personality disorder has a set of 9 criteria. And the criteria includes a fear of abandonment and rejection. It includes impulsive behavior, dissociation, unstable relationships. And so, because it has a set of 9 criteria, it can be kind of
Hmm.
harder to diagnose it because you may not necessarily have quote unquote impulsive behavior like, sometimes they'll say like, like dangerous sex habits,
Yeah.
all these different things. You may not have that. That's called quote unquote quiet BPD, right?
Right.
Where the distress and the dysregulation is happening internally more than it's happening externally. So, two people with BPD can have completely different experiences
Okay.
because, as you imagine, because it has a set of 9 criteria, the combinations of those, it's up to maybe like, I think I've heard like around 250 ways that you can
Wow.
experience BPD
Wow.
based upon the different criteria. But the
Hmm.
major point for me is just really rapid mood swings, highly volatile mood. So, 1 hour, I'm laughing with a friend, having the time of my life. The next moment I get triggered. Maybe my partner didn't respond to my text, or maybe my boss gave me feedback and it makes me feel like I'm the worst person in the world.
Hmm.
That is so that what those triggers are triggering a fear of abandonment and a fear of rejection, a fear that my partner abandoned me because they didn't respond to a text or
Okay.
email, or a fear that my boss rejects me because they gave me criticism. And
Right.
so it's a fear of loss. It's a fear of I'm going to be abandoned by the people I love the most. And people with BPD, we focus on a favorite person. So this favorite person is perfect in our eyes. They don't do anything wrong. They are the most important person in the world to us. But the problem is like the moment they don't show up the way you want them to, the moment they criticize you or they say something that you feel like is really hurtful, they're the worst person in the world. They,
Wow.
and then that's called splitting.
Wow.
And so you pull that person off of that favorite person pedestal, and then you start rapid cycling, and it can be really dangerous
Wow.
um, to to experience. So so that's why it can be really difficult to treat, because if a person comes into a therapy session and they're like, I'm doing great, I'm happy, it's awesome, and then maybe the next day, and I'll use a personal experience, i I'm dealing with a lot of taxes that I owe.
Hmm.
Right. And so I was great in therapy session. But the next day I see how much taxes I owe. And then I start spiraling because I'm like, I have an unstable sense of self. That's another
Right.
part of BPD's unstable sense of self. So I'm like, do I even have to be here? I mean, I worked so hard and now I'm losing all this money. Like a person with a stable sense of self is like, I have reasons to live. There are things that I look forward to in
Right.
life.
Right.
I am a good, I don't know, friend. I am a good partner. I'm a
Right.
good mother, and people love me and care about me. And so I am going to live. A person with BPD, we don't necessarily have a stable sense of self. So we could just be like, yeah, like what these taxes? This is ridiculous. And then we can may think of these like really self-destructive things that we're gonna
Hmm.
do because we don't have a concept that like people love us. We don't really have a strong
Right.
concept of like people care about us. We don't have a strong concept of like people like, like us as not even just as like servants, where we're like they like us because we do things for us. Like there's people in our lives who like us because of our character, our
Right. Right.
personality, like just for who we are. And sometimes like I don't even have a concept of that. And I know I must frustrate my mom and people who see me in that
Mm.
spiraling state, because they're
Yeah.
like, you want to throw your life away
Right.
over this, and they
Yeah.
look at
They
me
don't
like,
understand.
it's just taxes,
Yeah.
Imade. Like, why do you want to like throw your life away over taxes? It's not the taxes, it's how the trigger makes me
Right.
feel, and the
Right.
fear that I'm going to always feel like this,
Right.
because it reminds me of the meltdown I had last week, and then
Right.
and it reminds me of the meltdown I had the week before. And so when you have BPD or depression or anxiety, you look at the past through the lens of your mental illness. You don't look through the past through the lens of like, I have worthwhile things to live for.
Right.
You look through the lens of what mental illness is telling you.
Yeah.
So if you look through the past and it's all mental illness, crisis, 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 and you're not seeing, my friend brought me soup. Like,
Right.
you're not seeing like, my boss was like really like accommodating and was like, girl, take the rest of the week off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not thinking through that. I'm just thinking of how much pain I felt. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of just how BPD can escalate really quickly, and it could be really hard because we're people with BPD, we're told that we're monsters. We're told that we are the crazy ex-girlfriend. That's literally the name of the TV show that's based on a woman who has BPD, and then they covered it really well. For the most part, Rachel Bloom is actress who played the main character. I really think she did a phenomenal job. But that's just the label that they put on us, because they're not seeing what my therapist sees. People with BPD kind of have third-degree burns when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to emotional crises and emotion dysregulation.
Wow. Wow. When you think that you have it bad, someone has it worse, and that doesn't discount what I'm going through, because what I'm going through is very hard too. But listening to you and listening to others, it's just people have no fucking idea how debilitating and draining and just life shutting down. Like they have no idea the darkness that we live in. None. So when was your first hospitalization?
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to think. I think it was like 2015. I was in New York City.
Okay.
I had a year of being on a certain medication, a popular antidepressant,
Mm-hmm.
and I was living a time in my life. The antidepressant that I was on, um, it felt like a wonder drug. Um, I just felt like I could do anything. I was able to be active. I was in a graduate program, and I was able to like hang out with my classmates. We would have rooftop parties, like just like really cool events that my classmates were a part of, and I felt like I could be present and be there with them, and I had like a built-in community through that my graduate program. And so I had a magical year, and then the descent started happening. I had to graduate, and I had to figure out how to find a job.
Right.
And I was interning in New York, and I was hustling, like as many folks in New York City do. I was hustling, but I wasn't seeing the rewards for the hustle.
Right.
I wasn't seeing it, and I just felt really demoralized. And so, like, here again, right? Like the taxes again. I work so hard to save
Right.
money.
Right.
Black folks, we don't have the generational wealth that white folks have. So we have to work harder for less than what white people had. So
Right.
I was working so hard to try to get out of
Right.
poverty, try to, like, I can't rely on my mama to take care of me. I got to figure this thing out. So I'm working hard to try to get out of poverty, but I still can't find a job. And I went to a university where it's $80,000 a year in student loans. So I'm expecting, if you charging $80,000, I'm
You're
expecting the
supposed to
job
have
to
a
be
job. That's right.
at the end of that. And
Right.
so I'm doing internships. It's not like I'm not working at these organizations, and they're acting like they can't find the money to pay me. And when you're a black woman, it's like you start to have questions.
Right.
Why are y'all telling me I'm like one of the best interns you've ever had, but you can't find the money to pay me?
Pay me. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's not something ain't adding up. So I wasn't getting those opportunities, and just from that frustration, again, rejection, which is a trigger for folks with BPD. I attempted. The attempt was not lethal or
Mm-hmm.
anything close to that. But it was deeply distressing. And so, my roommate, took a cab, went to the hospital, local hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and the local hospital was great. Really treated me with respect. Um, it was not a good place for people who are sexual assault survivors. I will tell you that, because we had to sleep in a room with like 20 other people. You know, if you no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No one, no. Anyone who have any type of trauma background should not be sleeping in a
Should
room with
not
20
be.
other
That's
people.
right. That's right.
So it was good in the sense of like I was supervised, and we were in a fish tank. So we slept on like a little like a reclining chair. But I don't think anybody with a trauma background needs to be sleeping in a room with 20 other people.
Yeah.
But eventually, they found a room for me, and I was able to have my own room, and it looked nice. And if I stayed there, I would have been fine, because it was
Mm-hmm.
right in my community. It was accessible. People could visit me, but they brought me upstate like I was going to prison. So I went from New York City to Westchester, which isn't that far away,
Yeah.
but
But it's
from
far.
public transport,
Yeah.
yeah, when using public transportation, which everybody does in New York
That's two
City,
hours at least or more.
far, still far. So you're already duplicating a method of mass incarceration, which is sending people upstate away from their families, away from their communities who love them, to a place where you're surrounded with people that are not your community. You're surrounded with people who don't love you at all. Who this they just getting a check. And so I went to a hospital that I was told is so great. It's so great. Go to this hospital, you get better. That's what they told me in the emergency room. And I thought it looked great on the first floor, beautiful hotel lobby kind of carpet. They had a gift store. Like it looked like a resort on the first floor. But when you get to the upper floors, where you go to the actual psych ward where you will actually stay, it's terrifying. So they did a great job marketing, like
Yeah.
with the marketing, but when you actually go behind those locked doors, it's
It's
terrifying.
something different. Yeah. I
So
was.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, finish. Finish.
Yeah, so we all lived basically on a hallway. There was just a long hallway, and we were in, we shared rooms. The rooms, look very clinical, very hospital,
Yeah.
not warm, kind of those like cinder block walls.
Yeah.
So like again, reminds you of prison. I had a roommate who was nonverbal, and so my roommate wasn't getting her needs met. I know that for sure. I wasn't getting my needs met, and because she wasn't getting her needs met, she was mean. Like I don't know how you can be nonverbal but mean,
For me.
like mean, and because she's not getting her needs met, they're not
Right.
listening to her, so of course she mean. And we're having interpersonal conflict because she's blaming things on me. Like it's just a lot going on, so we're having roommate problems. And then on top of that, I'm terrified that somebody is going to um come into my room when I'm sleeping,
Right.
because the patients were being over medicated,
Right.
and there was a patient that was walking into people's rooms and just not knowing where he was going. So I was terrified, couldn't sleep. The only the only way I was able to sleep was because they just disrespected me, and so I acted up or acted out. And just I just was like, I'm at this door, I ain't leaving.
Right.
Like, cuz I came from like the we were fighting police brutality on the streets. We were protesting. So I
Right.
was already like amped up, like, okay, let's go.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
because I'm already, and this was before Black Lives Matter.
Right.
So just to say, like, Black folks have been protesting police brutality for a very long
For a very
time.
long
Because
time.
this
Yeah.
was 2015, and we was getting active in the streets, protesting the murder of Eric Garner.
Right.
So I walked New York City streets, and they had his eyes, and they had a photo of his eyes, and they blew it up so that it was the whole street. His eyes took up the whole street. So the grief, the mourning of just the murders of Black people were in my body, in my bones, and I was grieving Black folks at that time. And I was so disrespected there. I was just like, I'm not leaving this door. And so because I wasn't compliant, which is what they love to say, right? She's non-compliant. They tackled me to the ground. They threatened me with drug injection, and they threw me into solitary confinement or isolation room.
Wow.
And these nurses were Black people. So that's another thing you gotta talk about this. We gotta talk about this, right? Black faces in high places. They're not gonna save us, right? That is what I think Professor, I think Benjamin, I think, and Spellman, that was their kind of their graduation speech was like, Black folks ain't gonna save us. The people who tackled me to the ground were Black, right? And they were given orders by a non-Black doctor. So we have to talk about how like a lot of these psychiatric places are plantations where Black folks are making money for these hospitals because we're filling their beds. We're making money for them, but they use Black overseers to control us, our bodies, and they're carrying out orders from non-Black people. And so we need to talk about that, right? That if we just focus on representation, we can still end up being oppressed.
Right.
So I fought as hard as I could to get out of that in that the psychiatric institution. But they assigned me a lawyer. The hospitals will assign you a lawyer. The hospital lawyer told me she's scared to just come on my floor.
What?
She's like, yeah, I don't even feel comfortable being here. I said, I don't feel comfortable being here either. What do you? How do you think I feel? I have
And
to
you can
sleep
leave.
here.
I can't.
And the hospital lawyer was like, there's not much I can do. Right. I can't even do anything. I'm just here because, basically it's legally required. So, I went in front of a state Supreme Court judge. They totally set me up. They forced me to wear a hospital gown. I had clothes. They couldn't let me wear real clothes. They forced me in a hospital gown. I couldn't wear shoes, so I'm wearing the grippy sock. Grippy sock hive. Love y'all. But so I had grippy socks on in the hospital gown, and they brought me in on a gurney. I'm like, I can walk. Why do I have to come here on a gurney? But they set me up to look
Right.
like
To
I'm not
look like
capable.
you're crazy, quote
Yeah,
unquote crazy.
that I'm not capable of like, advocating for myself.
Right.
So they set me up big time. Then another thing that set me up, they had speak first on the stand. Speak first. This psychiatrist hasn't even don't even talk to me maybe 5 minutes. Psychiatrists and psych wards a lot of times they don't even talk to you for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. They
Not
don't
at
even
all.
talk to you that long.
Exactly.
And the
Exactly.
psychiatrist is speaking before me. And the psychiatrist told people, and like I said, I think the psychiatrist needs more help than I do.
Right.
But she said that if my mom takes me home, I will jump out of the car. So she needs to stay here because if she drives home with her mother, she may jump out of the car.
Um,
I
you
had a
know,
follow up after that.
I always I've written about it, and I'll probably do more shows about how traumatic a stay in a psych ward is. It doesn't matter. It could be top of the line. My last couple of stays was in Princeton, New Jersey, and the facility was, like you said, it was a nice facility, and the food was good, and whatever the case may be, but it's trauma nonetheless. I mean, it's suffocating. I went my first visit was in 2006, and I had never been in a place like this before, and I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you know um I was gobsmacked is the word that I can think of. Like, the whole time that I was there, I was just sitting there, like I couldn't believe, the things that were going on. And, why aren't people, like, this is my first time here. Why isn't somebody being more compassionate about that part? Like, this is my first time here. Why am I watching this lady? They had to take all her clothes because she attempted to take her life, and she's sleeping on a mattress in the hallway outside my room. And, like, what? And I was, I, I that's it. I was speechless, speechless. And I sidebar, my psychiatrist has been trying to get me to go inpatient for the past 6 months at least. And she is like mortified and so confused because she doesn't understand why I am absolutely refusing to go inpatient. And she goes, "Well, what about IOP or outpatient?" And I'm like, no, because those are the same people. It's the same people. It's the same doctors.
It can funnel you to inpatient.
Exactly. They have no idea. Like, and it's pissing me off because, you are a doctor, you are working in this hospital, so you already know that if I do go inpatient, it's a possibility that I'll end up where you are working. So you already know the conditions there. She like it, and if like one time I'm gonna snap and say, if you fucking say it again, I'm gonna lose it. Because now my therapist, on the other hand, she understands. One of my last times when I was in Princeton, and when you said sexual assault survivors, I was in a room by myself, but with the night shift, they have different shifts or whatever. And one of the orderlies took a liking to me. And so the first time that he came in my room at night, like, I thought that they were just coming, to look in and check to make, I had a CPAP, check my CPAP and stuff like that. But then, like, the next morning when it was time to go do your vitals and stuff like that, and he was taking them, and he would just stare at me, and it was so uncomfortable. And I then the next that night, like, I closed my door, and then of course you can't close your door all the way. And then when I told the nurse, finally, like, I'm uncomfortable with the door open, like, it triggers me. My PTSD is triggered, and still nothing. So the whole time I was there, and this man was taking my vitals every morning. And so if I'm sedated and on a CPAP machine, you don't know what he can come in my room and do. And nobody else knows what the hell is going on, so they won't know. And I just, I talk about it, and I listen. Like I said, I follow you, and I hear you, and I know other people that have gone inpatient and had the same experience, or being closed in. Now I'm a former smoker. I admit it, but I am not I was never a chain smoker. Like 2 cigarettes a day or whatever. But I was smoking more just to get outside. just to go outside. I'm smoking more. Then I ran out of cigarettes and hyperventilated and had panic attack because I couldn't go outside. And people don't know, like they think, like you said, it's a prison. It's a prison of a different kind. It's a prison of a different name. And we're not being treated there. We're being medicated, and we're being, like you said, hidden from society. We're being hidden from people because they think we're a danger. And we're not being ministered to. We're not being, I drew stick figures, like, oh, draw a picture about how you're feeling. Well, I am not fucking Van Gogh. I don't like it. I had a stick, Armani, I had a stick figure, you know, like,
Me too.
um,
I would do the same.
like,
And they're like,
um,
art therapy. This is
and
art
I,
therapy.
and you have to go to a group. And so what are we going to a group for? Because like there are nonverbal here. There are people that don't want to talk. There are people you cannot forcing somebody to talk is abuse. It's abuse. Forcing somebody to socialize when they're not a sociable person, that's abuse. And these are the things that we don't talk about. And one thing about and I'm going to get to what you're doing next. But one thing that bothers me is that there are not enough advocates in the psych wards to help the patients and the families. Because my youngest had to come there my last time, and that broke me. Because I don't want my babies to see that. And I mean, she was older, but still. And so you need someone in the hallways. You need someone in the waiting room, because when my first time coming in, I'm terrified. I want somebody to tell me that it's okay. I want somebody to tell me what to expect. I want somebody to tell my family that I'll be okay and what to expect while I'm in there. But we don't have that. You and I are not in the lobbies. You have a degree, I don't, but like you, because I don't have certain credentials, I can't be there to help my people. And yes, everybody of every race, creed, and color is in a psych ward, but we are treated differently. We are made to feel differently, and that's not allowed enough. So that leads me to you, because when I was in Princeton, and I had switched to my natural hair. Okay, and so when I went inpatient, I had my bun, my poof, and the next morning I go, because you got to go get your razor, or you got to go get your brush or whatever, and they hand me this wire brush and some freaking White Rain hairspray, and I'm like, what? So I sat like, so I spent the whole week, doing like this, pushing. Then my scrunchie broke. They didn't have an extra one. Um, you know, uh, so that was my thinking when I left. Like, where's the pink lotion? Where's the hard brush? Where is the Shore deodorant, or not everybody can use roll-on, because you got HP and you get boils, so you need spray. Like, where is the variety? Even the goddamn magazines. Where are the black magazines? Where are the black books? I donated books. Where are they? We are treated differently, and nobody is talking about that. And that is one of the reasons why I love your organization and what you do. So please tell us what you do. What does the Press While Black do?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I
Sorry for
created.
rambling. You see, I got triggered.
No. No, it's okay. I created my nonprofit for you. I mean,
Right.
I created it for us. When I was in the psych ward, I noticed that Black women were the ones who were overly medicated, and they were in the most punitive floors.
Right.
I noticed that there was a black woman who was drooling and slurring her words, and she seemed to live permanently in the isolation room or the solitary confinement. I witnessed how her hair was unkempt because my hair was unkempt,
Right.
you know, and so when we're in these places, we're not given hair care supplies, skincare supplies for black needs, right? For
Right.
black people.
Right.
So a lot of us, when I went in, I have fresh cornrows, they fuzzy, they look a mess. I don't have the hair cover, I don't have a satin bonnet, or I don't have a do-rag, or
Right.
these things. So I noticed my body was deteriorating, and that is the worst time for your body to deteriorate,
Right.
because doctors base your discharge date based upon how you look. So
Right.
if you can't, comb your hair because they're giving you a comb for white people, you can't wash your hair because they give you shampoo for white people, you can't, moisturize your skin because they gave you lotion for white people. The lotion in hospitals basically water and a
Water.
little bit of cream in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most watery, useless thing you could ever
Right.
have. People are, joke that you ashier after you use hospital lotion
Exactly.
than before.
Exactly.
So they're not giving us anything to nourish our black bodies, our black
Right.
minds in these places. In a lot of these places. So yeah, I just didn't want that to happen to anybody else. So I started giving black hair care items and skincare items, as well as sanitary napkins, pads, tampons, because this is what I did not have. So
Right.
they when you don't have underwear, they will give you a hospital issue underwear. It feels like a spider web on your butt.
Exactly. Ugh.
It's the texture is like a mesh texture. It's a terrible sensation. Never liked it. I didn't understand, why is it so hard to just give me regular underwear? Why? Well, this is dehumanizing. So I was like, yeah, we not having that. So we're gonna donate underwear, and we're gonna donate bras and boxers and things that a lot of charities don't really think about when they donate to psychiatric patients.
Right.
Like I said, I've witnessed really great work. Right?
Right.
It's not like I haven't seen it. I've seen great work
Right.
of organizations that donate to psychiatric patients, but I would look at it and be like, yeah, they got new clothes, but they're gonna be sitting in 3-day-old mesh underwear. So
Right.
it's like they're not gonna, they may not
Defeats the
feel,
purpose.
it kind of defeats the purpose if I'm in
Yeah.
old underwear. So I was like, no, we're gonna have everybody fresh from head to toe. Everything gonna be fresh.
Right.
So we just started donating, and I was then by, I think it was like right before the pandemic, we started donating. So in 2020, and once the pandemic hit, there was new needs. Right, patients had to be in their rooms all day, so they needed activity books.
Mm-hmm.
Things to keep them kind of like mentally engaged.
Right.
So we also gave masks as well. So that was kind of like the beginning part of the pandemic. I reached out to a nonprofit consultant who was like, "Girl, all this illegal. Like, girl, what are you doing?" Because I was doing this
You was
I was
just
doing
doing
this,
that out of your
yeah, out of the goodness of my heart. Out of the goodness of my heart. So I was using my money, and then I was actually donations
Oh
online,
my goodness.
because the mental health community is one of my favorite communities in the
Right.
world.
Right.
And we show up for each other if no one else does. So the community was giving me donations, but yeah, my consultant was like, "Girl, you need to get a 501c3 before the US government shuts this down." So it was like, okay, all right, all I care about is showing up for my people. I really don't care about
The
501c3
business.
status. Don't
Yeah.
care about none of that. I care more
Mm-hmm.
about mutual aid. What do you need? Okay,
Right.
I'll get it.
Right.
But in order for us to sustain the work, we had to go the legal route. So we got 501c3 status, I think in maybe like July of 2020. And that we just build it. So we've been donating to a hospital in Burlington for I think almost like 4 years. I think maybe
Wow.
like three. Yeah, and just hundreds and hundreds of you know black hair care items. We started developing a black beauty supply kit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier for hospital staff to hand out. So it's a box and it has a satin bonnet, it has a wave cap, a brush that we use,
Right.
a wide tooth, wide tooth comb, shea butter, hair oil, that also can double as a body oil, shampoo, conditioner, and lip balm. Lip balm is a really important
Very
thing
important.
because they don't give us lip balm, or they may give us maybe like Vaseline or something. But lip balm is really important in hospital spaces because they're forcing us to talk all the time
Right. Right.
in group
And
therapy.
the medication dries your mouth out.
It dries your mouth out.
Right.
So lip balm is very important to have that, because if your lips are chapped, you really can't concentrate on anything.
Right.
So we give that, and it's in a beautiful box. It looks like a birthday gift to someone. And we teamed up with Horizon. They're a Black-owned, all natural beauty supply company. They create all our products,
Mm-hmm.
and so we partner with them. And yeah, we've just been sending them out. So far, we sent like over 300 Black beauty supply kits to hospitals across the East Coast. And right now we support Duke Children's Hospital, which is a huge
Wow.
thing for us. I've been wanting to support Duke for so long. Like literally, I graduated from Duke as undergrad, so I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
have to support my people who are
Right.
in psychiatric facilities at Duke Hospital. And
Right.
so we have an amazing hospital staff member we work with there, and I can confirm that from someone who we supported, who went into the hospital there, they love those kids.
Right.
The kids are loved, and they're cared for. And so I want to just say that yes, we are talking about psych wards and how traumatic they are, and they are traumatic. But
Mm-hmm.
if there is a place where I have a confirmed report that the children feel loved, the children are cared for, I want to share that as well. And so right now, what we are working on and developing is a mobile hair salon program where we pay for a hairstylist, a Black affirming hairstylist that helps Black children care for their hair, to
Mm-hmm.
come in and provide hair care services to patients. So that's a program that we're developing and building out, and what we're going to do is we're going to love these kids as much as possible. Black children are being funneled into psychiatric facilities. And some of these Black children are in foster care.
Yeah.
So they don't have parents to check in to say, are their hair being cared for?
No advocate.
Um, there's no advocate. So we
Yeah.
have to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the next journey for Depressed While Black, is how do we love our Black children in these psychiatric facilities, and let them know that their community loves them and we have not forgotten about them.
Now, the mobile salon, would it be just for children or would it be for adults also?
So right now we're serving Duke's Children's Hospital. So right
Okay.
now we're starting with children. So
Okay.
they need support because we bought them hair care products, but they
Mm-hmm.
need support to know how to use them.
Right.
We have a stylist who is amazing, who like has experience supporting children on the autism spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
children with sensory needs, children who are afraid of water. I was afraid of getting my their hair done when I
Right.
was a child. So she knows how to handle that. So yeah, we're starting out with children first.
Okay.
We'll see if we get invited to do like support other
Right.
places. This is actually the first time we supported children.
Really?
The hospital that we supported in Burlington, North Carolina, that was an adult hospital.
Okay.
So I'm learning new things every day, how to support kids.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am learning is that children are not the problem, it's the adults.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they don't know how to talk to children. They don't know how to love on children. They don't have, it's, it's a whole different set of guidelines, when you're dealing with children, and people don't have the patience, especially in settings like that, because you have so many bodies, and And like you are giving props, like I know that there are amazing doctors out there. I know that there are amazing nurses out there. I experienced it in the Princeton Hospital, but they're overworked, underpaid. And now after COVID, I was just telling my daughter this the other day, like people don't understand that it just wasn't citizens that lost their lives during COVID. It was nurses, it was doctors, practitioners, and so now the system is just overcrowded. And so now we've got a system that's overcrowded. You were already neglecting us before. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just even everybody's getting lost in the shuffle. So I think that's amazing. Duke is Durham. Is Duke in Durham?
Yes, Dukin's in
Okay.
Durham, North
Okay.
Carolina.
Okay. That's awesome. And do you have a desire to go to any different places?
Absolutely. We definitely do. So the goal is that if we can develop this program at Duke Children's Hospital and really like build it out, build the infrastructure for it, that we want to roll it out at other hospitals across the country. And so
That's
yeah, I hear that you're in Charlotte. Charlotte is a special place in my heart. I go to Charlotte very frequently. My healers are in Charlotte, so I will always be in Charlotte as long as the healers are there. I
wow.
have I have a massage therapist that's like changing my life in Charlotte.
Wow.
Would love to support Charlotte, and I think y'all have a peer support respite center as
We do.
well.
We do.
Yeah,
Fairly new, but we do. But Charlotte is overcrowded and the system is overcrowded. So I'm the helpline coordinator for NAMI Charlotte. And so I'm getting the calls constantly, well, I took my son to the hospital, to Atrium, and they sent him to Asheville. How the hell am I going to get to Asheville? Burlington, Raleigh Durham. I know one mother called me and they had sent her son to Raleigh Durham. So she was driving, had to drive back and forth and almost lost her job. So it's overcrowded here, you know. And my first experience was here. I don't know if it's changed any, the experience of being inpatient here, but I know that was years ago, but it was awful, you know. So I hope that Charlotte has improved a little bit, but I know that there are amazing people here. You're gonna have to give me a ring when you come down next time. Um,
I come frequently to Charlotte, so
oh
I will.
yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Oh
So I will absolutely hit you up
yes.
when I
Email
come.
me. I emailed you my number. Sidebar.
Yay! Please,
So
yeah. I'll text you my number back. We have to
okay.
connect. There's a coffee place I go to in Charlotte all the time. So
Which
yeah.
one?
Haraz Coffee. It's a Yemeni coffee
Okay.
shop. So
Oh
just
wow.
definitely want to.
And I'm a
So
coffee junkie.
oh,
I'm a junkie, an
it's
addict.
I think you're going to love it. I really do.
It doesn't even matter. As soon as you say coffee, that's it. And I always tell people that coffee is the breakfast of mental illness.
It sure is.
Because if we don't have it, forget it.
Yeah, forget it.
Forget it. This whole discussion has been amazing. You
Yay.
already know that you're going to come back on
Oh yes,
because
for
I
sure.
am going to do an episode about just the psych ward experience.
Yeah, for sure.
So but thank you for what you do for the
Thank you.
community, and I'm not just blowing smoke. Like I said, we're on Twitter together. I see what you do. I see how you interact with people. I see how encouraging you are, in spite of what you might be going through. And so thank you for thinking about others, thinking about other Black and Brown people, and that you are doing what you can to make the experience bearable. I'm not going to
Yeah,
say enjoyable, but
yeah,
bearable,
yeah.
because I'm going to keep saying it. People have no idea how
No.
stifling, traumatic, and debilitating a stay can be in the psych ward. And children, like babies in the psych ward. I call everybody babies. Um, that's something that bothers me. So I am so excited to hear that that's something that you're going to be doing going forward. So tell us, number one, where we can find DWB, and number two, how do we donate? How can we volunteer? Tell us what you need. Tell us what you need. Beg.
I know, I do need a bag. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can go to the presswellblack.org. You can donate there. I think, the things that we need barbers.
Okay.
So if there's any black barbers in Durham, North Carolina, or
Okay.
just in North Carolina in general,
Mm-hmm.
it would be really great. So we need these black boys. They're very particular about their
Yes, they
hairstyles,
are.
okay?
They are.
And they don't care where they are. Yeah,
Right.
they're in the psychiatric facility. They still want to clean shape up. They still want to
Exactly.
line up. Like they want it
Exactly.
crispy. They want it clean. Like like black children want the best. It don't matter if they in the psych ward or not. And
And
we
I
want to
think that
deliver the
that's what they
best.
think. They think that just because we're there, we don't care about our appearance.
Mhm,
We don't care
mhm.
about how we feel. Yeah.
No, you think more about your appearance
Exactly.
because you're stripped of so much dignity. It's
Exactly.
like you're trying to cling to the little bit of dignity that you
Exactly.
have by caring about your appearance. When I was sent to a all women's floor, oh, it was a fashion show. I was like, oh, I'm about to give them some fits. I'm about to give them some looks because we ain't got nothing else to do. Like I
Nothing
might as
else to do.
well.
Yeah.
So yeah, especially we're looking for barbers right now, particularly. We're also looking for braiders. So if you know of a good braider in Durham area or in just North Carolina in general, we're also looking for that. And we are also looking if anybody is good with Legos. I know that these are like random things, but the kids love Legos. And it's an opportunity to really affirm them and to uplift them as like future engineers, future doctors, or just whatever they want to be, like
Hmm.
future thought leaders. Legos is a really great entry point into that.
It is.
So anybody that wants to consider donating Legos, or if they're good at Legos, that is something that the kids are expressing. They're also expressing the needs. They need clothes. They need clothes. They need shoes, and when you're in foster care, it can be kind of embarrassing,
Yeah.
like how little clothes you have, how little
Yeah.
shoes you have, because you
Yeah.
compare yourself to other kids, right? And
You
you're
do.
like,
Yeah.
and so that could be a cause of like insecurity, and we don't want them to live with that.
Hmm.
So if anybody has a connection to like maybe like a clothing company, or anything like that, or that can provide like high quality clothes. The kids love screen print clothes. We were told they like Nike Panda Dunks. These The kids will tell you what they
What they
want. you
want.
don't you don't got to
Exactly.
guess what
Right.
black children and what black people
Right.
want. We will tell you.
Right.
And so they have very clear needs. They want to, have screen print. They want to have Nike shoes, things like that can give them a sense of like I am powerful. Like what I'm presenting to the world matches my identity and my personality.
Right.
People have the right to wear clothes and shoes that reflect their identity, that reflect who they are. They should not
Yeah.
be wearing clothes that don't reflect who they are. And that's what
Right.
happens in hospitals, right? They give us gowns and the texture is like hard paper. Do you know what I'm saying? Like even the feel of it feels like we're not being loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the kids and adults are being forced to wear clothes that don't represent their identity or their culture. And so
Yeah.
how can we provide clothing and shoes that really help them like be excited and be proud of who they are as black children? We also, if anybody, we need black children's books. as well. So we donated already. That was one of the first things I said. Black children, okay, we're gonna get some books. They didn't even have to ask. I said, oh, y'all gonna get some black books.
Wow.
It's not even. So we have a huge batch of black books, but we would love to get maybe black books that are more like YA, so like older, like maybe like 13, 14, 15, that kind of like that age group. So that would be really helpful. These kids, they need a stable home. You know, an emergency room is not a home. It's not a home.
Yeah.
I don't care how nice you make it. It's not a home for children.
Right.
Um, but we are trying to bring the love of a black home to these black children, and we'll do that through these black affirming care items that we give. And so yeah, our goal is we just want to give them the love of a black home, to them. And
Are
so
you going to
we
still
invite you to
do
partner with us.
me?
Go ahead. Yeah. And all of us and
Um,
all the listeners as well, to partner with us so we can deliver this black home for our children.
are you going to still do the care kits for adults, or are you just going to segue into the children?
So yeah, that's a great question. Right now, we got a large grant, and I love it, and I'm so
That's
grateful.
awesome.
It's our
Congratulations.
first, it's our first large grant.
Wow.
And Depressed for Black is run like a really, really shoddy mom and pop. I'm just gonna be real.
Okay.
Like it's just
Okay.
I have mental illness. I have a day job and this nonprofit. It's something gonna have to drop. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
And it ain't gonna be me. I can't drop myself. So I ain't dropping myself. So um I have to improve the infrastructure of Depressed While Black because we got this large grant. So what basically my work and my strategy is, I'm going to work with my consultant, I'm going to work with my accountant to figure out a budget on how we can build this mobile salon program, and then also like let's kind of refresh and re-up the Black Beauty Supply kits and starts sending them out to more places. So if anybody is like, hey, I support a loved one who has been in this hospital and they need these Black Beauty Supply kits, please send requests to me. I would love sending them out, because every time that we send out a Black Beauty Supply kit, we are supporting Black patients.
Right.
We are supporting Black business because a Black business created the kit.
Right.
And then also, what we're doing is we're communicating to these hospitals, we're watching you.
We're here.
We're
We're here.
here.
Yes.
We're here.
We're
You
here.
can't treat these folks like nobody loved them, because
Exactly.
they are loved.
They are.
And so it's a powerful tool, and it's a powerful humanizing tool,
And now
and
the
it's
kits you
radical.
ship everywhere.
Yeah, we
I'm
ship them
sorry.
yeah, we do. We ship them everywhere. We shipped them, I
Okay.
think, as far as like New York. We shipped them to New York before. I would love to eventually get on the West Coast, because I had serious mental health problems when I lived out there. And for folks who live on the East Coast who move to the West Coast, sometimes we get like end of earth syndrome, where we're just so isolated from our family on the East
I
Coast.
told you my baby is there now, and I'm like, I said, you're halfway around the world. I just can't get to you when I want to. But it is. The other day, this is totally off course, but the other day I was talking to her and I was like, well, what have you gone through, that's making you feel this way? And she's like, hello, I moved to LA by myself. I don't have anyone here. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, so please, if there's anything that I can do to support Black folks out there on the West Coast, I would love to do it. So I know Beam is amazing. Beam, like
Oh, yeah. I
thought
have them on my
leadership.
website. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
just
them on my website. Yeah.
the services that they provide, the peer support services, just like, oh, it's just amazing. So, Beam is on the West Coast, so I also wanted to say I defer to Beam, because they've
Okay.
been there way longer than I have, but
Hmm.
I definitely would love to support Black folks on the West Coast, with mental health, like Black affirming mental health, support and services when it comes to like folks in psychiatric facilities.
Well, this is what we're going to do. You're going to send me a list of things that you're looking for, both, you know, supplies and goods and volunteers, because I'm sure that there are people out there that are willing to volunteer, you know, admin help or, shipping out the kits. And like you said, you're one person, and I don't have a 501c3. And I know that running this platform, it's a lot, especially when we're struggling. Like we're literally in the dark 24 hours a day. So you send me a list. I'm serious. You send me a list of the supplies that you need, the volunteer work that you need, and I will put it on my website. I will, and let people know. I know beauty stylists. I know stylists. I know barbers, and so I will put the word out. You just let me know what you need, and because
Thank you.
I love the cause. I love it. And any way that I can help you, and that's not just today. If you need something, you reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out and let me know, if I can help you do something, even if it's, you know, an admin, thing for one day. I do it for everybody else. Nami has me going here, there, everywhere. So please let me know. Let me know. I want to thank you for coming on today. And, you are such a sweetheart. And I'm so glad that I got to talk to you. And I'm very serious. Coffee when you get here.
Absolutely. It's a date. Like it's already in my calendar.
So I always end with this. What is one thing that you want the community to know? Piece of advice, how to piece living with mental illness. What is something that you want people to know?
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, I think that Black people are inherently deserving of care. Black people don't have to earn the right to receive life affirming care. Um, just by our existence, we should be loved.
Right,
And I think that is something, the biggest thing, because a lot of psych wards, they throw Black folks in the most punitive floor and they tell us you have to earn the right to be in a less punitive
right,
floor. And I'm like, no, I think Black people deserve the right to like be in a non-carceral setting from the very beginning.
right.
And so I just hope that I just want to leave that Black people are inherently deserving of care.
Well, thank you, Amade. Thank you so much.
Thank
Well,
you.
guys, of course, we went a little bit longer, but you know me, once I start running my mouth, that's it. I thank you guys for listening. I'm putting all of Imade's and Depressed While Black information will be on my website. I already think I have you on my resource page, but I'm going to put all of the information that you send me on my page. So, guys, if you want to donate, if you want to volunteer, if you have information about books, barbers, braiders, reach out. This is an amazing cause, and we want to do what we can to help Imade and Depressed While Black keep going. And thank you for supporting me. Thank you for listening. Please share this episode with someone because, as you heard us both discuss, it's needed. The voice is needed, the care is needed, the support is needed. So please share with someone because you never know what someone is going through. Thank you to Illumination Technology, of course, for keeping me on track. And guys, please, 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 especially during these tough times that we're going through right now, please find your peace and stay well. Bye.
So